From The Independent, comedian Andrew Lawrence has had scheduled performances pulled by venues after making a racist joke about England's black footballers. He made that joke on Twitter. British listeners, I know you know all about this. Let me catch the Yanks up. So on Sunday night, it was the Euros. That's like the World Cup, but just the European teams. The game was in Wembley Stadium in London. Italy played England. The game was tied after 90 minutes plus overtime. I'm translating for the Americans. Don't write me letters if you're in London. I get it. I'm translating for these people. Okay. Then they went to penalty kicks, which is kind of like going to home run derby. 3 players missed their kicks. Andrew Lawrence tweeted, "All I'm saying is the white guys scored." He then added equality, diversity, and crappy penalties. He used the S word, actually. In another tweet, he wrote, "I can see this has offended a lot of people, and I'm sorry that black guys are bad at penalties." His comments drew criticism from Twitter users and fellow comedians. Several venues announced they were canceling his bookings. Hampshire's Hanger Farms Art Center wrote on Twitter, "Following the racist comments made by comedian Andrew Lawrence on Twitter, we made the decision to cancel his show. As part of learning disability charity Minstead Trust, we work hard to promote inclusivity, provide safe spaces for everyone, have zero tolerance for racism." Scallywags Comedy Club in Gloucestershire wrote, "We today, like many others I'm sure, have pulled Andrew Lawrence from a show he was set to do for us. Racism isn't acceptable in any form." Buckinghamshire's Chesham Comedy Club tweeted at him, "I know you won't particularly care, but we at Chesham Comedy Club will not tolerate racism in any form, so please consider your booking with us canceled." Back in the States, the Laugh It Up Comedy Club in Poughkeepsie has joined the Comedy Cellar and Johnny Mac's House in banning Bill Cosby. Laugh It Up Comedy Club in Poughkeepsie, New York, said Bill Cosby is not welcome at their location due to his criminal acts. Meanwhile, Louis C.K. is coming to Madison, Wisconsin later this month for a string of 5 shows over 3 days. He's trying to get out of what I call comedy jail. His shows sold out rather quickly, so if you didn't get tickets, you're not going to be able to go. From Entertainment Weekly, in an interview with BBC News this week marking the 20th anniversary of the original British version of The Office, Ricky Gervais weighed in on whether the show would be canceled due to shifting standards in comedy. Ricky said, "I mean, now it would be canceled." Ricky said, "I mean, now it would be canceled. I'm looking forward to when they pick out one thing and try to cancel it. Someone said they might try to cancel it one day, and I say, good, let them cancel it. I've been paid." Ricky wound up issuing a statement on Twitter clarifying that his comments were meant in jest. Ricky said, "Just to be clear, I did not say The Office would be canceled if it were made today. That makes no sense. It's still around. This is my actual quote, someone said they might try to cancel it one day, and I said, good, let them cancel it. I've been paid," unquote. Clearly a joke. The Emmys will have a new host this year. It will not be Jimmy Kimmel. It will be Cedric the Entertainer. The Emmys, September 19th, will feature a limited audience of nominees and their guests at LA's Microsoft Theater. Cedric commented, saying, "Throughout the roller coaster of a year we've all lived through, television has helped us stay connected as a society like never before." The nominations will be announced today, and I will recap it for you on tomorrow's podcast. Follow the podcast on Spotify. No, we're not done yet. Don't leave. I'm just telling you where to get the podcast. Spotify, Google, Apple, you know. So the AV Club are my kind of people because they're suspicious of this. Netflix has announced it's putting Bo Burnham's special into theaters on a single night, July 22nd. That made me go, what are they up to? They're trying to make it eligible for an award, aren't they? The AV Club said, we'll be honest. We're not 100% sure why this is happening. A single night engagement means, for example, that Netflix is not trying for some kind of Oscars push for the 87-minute special, because you have to keep a film in theaters for a week to qualify. Also, there's the fact that stand-up comedy is usually seen as the domain of TV/streaming rather than the theatrical releases. There are a few exceptions, like Eddie Murphy's Raw and Dangerous. So what's the goal? A brief flurry of ticket sales? Fostering a sense of comedy community? It's difficult to parse. I'm with you, AV Club. I am suspicious. Also from the AV Club, Kelsey Grammer has told us what this Frasier reboot might be like. Not too many details. He says Frasier will no longer live in Seattle. He's reached out to his former co-stars for a potential return with the hope that the new series will serve as, quote, a third act for everybody. Kelsey Grammer also stated the show will acknowledge the death of John Mahoney in its first episode. Grammer then said Frasier's new life circumstances will see the already pretty damn rich character become, quote, rich beyond his dreams. One show that will not be coming to television is the Jeffries NBC sitcom. If you are a longtime listener, remember when this got announced? Then I was like, Jeffries NBC sitcom? No way? Well, no way. NBC has passed on the pilot. That just would have been a terrible idea. Jeffries and NBC sitcoms, those are two different sides of the street. Remember the movie Fletch, 1985, Chevy Chase? Well, they're remaking it. It will star Mad Men stars John Slattery and Jon Hamm. Which one is Fletch? Jon Hamm will play Fletch. According to Variety, the new film is based on the second book in the series in which, quote, Fletch finds himself in the middle of multiple murders, one of which pins him as a prime suspect. Jon Hamm's great and everything. Slattery and Hamm, you want to hate on this Fletch idea, but all right, why not? I mean, 1985, it's been, I'm doing math in my head, 37 years, 36 years. Why not? Remember when Kumail Nanjiani was a comedian? And I'm not saying he's not funny, but he's going to play a superhero in the Eternals pretty soon. And now he is set to star in an FX series adaptation of Pulitzer winner Ayad Akhtar's 2020 autofiction novel, Homeland Elegies. Nanjiani will play a writer named Ayad Akhtar, not of course to be confused with the writer of said character, also named Ayad Akhtar, who's the American-born son of an immigrant father who grapples with the political and personal turmoil of post-9/11. Hey, much thanks to Nancy for supporting the show. Nancy went on buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews and bought me a large iced coffee. Well, Nancy, I'll tell you, I mixed it up a little bit. I got the cold brew. My kid had been like, the smoked vanilla is pretty good. And I went in twice today. So the first coffee in the morning, paid for myself. Then I saw your donation to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. And I'm like, I'm going to live it up. And I got a cold brew from the National Donuts chain with smoked vanilla, and it hit the spot. So Nancy, thank you very much. If anybody else wants to support the show, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/dailycomedynews. You can make a one-time donation, suggested amount, $5. But you can do whatever you want. You can do $10, $1 million. If you did $1 million, I'll shout you out twice. I'm pretty cool like that, huh? Nancy wrote, thanks for making me laugh today. You are very welcome. Thank you for supporting the show and listening every day. From LA Mag, last week, LA comic Valerie Tosi tweeted something she thought might land her in hot water. Her tweet says, I love what I consider to be my home club with all my heart. But this weekend, meaning last weekend because it took me a week to get to the story, they did not book a single woman on their lineups. Zero, none, nada, all weekend. Male comics, for the love of God, say something. That home club is the Hollywood Improv. Tosi runs the Mermaid Comedy Hour, an all-female identifying show. She's been running that for 4 years. When she wrote the tweet, there were 0 women on the coming weekend show lineup. The idea that women should be included in comedy doesn't exactly seem like it should be controversial, but Tosi says anytime a woman speaks out, there's fear of retaliation. She said, whenever we speak up, we're deemed difficult, and I think that's why in that specific tweet, I asked men to say something because they need to help and do their part in saying something when they see these male-only lineups. The tweet gained traction in the comedy community. Michael Ian Black quote tweeted saying, shows are better when the lineups are balanced. Patton Oswalt chimed in. He said it seemed comedy had gone back to the way things were in the 80s, male-dominated. In a follow-up tweet that mentioned the Hollywood Improv, the Laugh Factory, and the Comedy Store, Patton said, the thing is, a whole lot, in caps, of my comedian friends have been pointing out how, for some reason, your lineups have shifted back to the way I remember comedy back in the late 80s, namely mostly dudes, maybe 1 or 2 women. Comedian Jen Kirkman got in on this and said, I can't stay silent about how this week/weekend shows have not one woman in the lineup. She went on to discuss clubs continuing to book men who've been accused of sexual harassment and reminded clubs that women are part of their audience. She wrote, Dear at Hollywood Improv, as one of the lucky women who gets to play your club when I want to. I'm just not doing stand-up right now. I can't stay silent about how this weekend shows have not one woman in the lineup. I know the person who runs this Twitter isn't the booker. Since then, Tosi says the Improv has added women to the lineup. 2 women are in the 34-person lineup at the time of this article. And even the booker reached out asking how they can do better. Tosi says it's pretty simple. Put more women on shows. Pete Lee's special Tall, Dark, and Pleasant has been on Showtime, and that came out July 9th. He spoke to the Interrobang, and he said, I'm kind. I'm a sweet person. So I learned a long time ago that if I'm saying a lot of swear words on stage, it sort of erodes my credibility as a kind person. That's the only reason why I've made the creative choices to not swear a lot on stage, but the subject matter that interests me is pretty vast on the spectrum of dirty to clean. I'm fascinated with everything from motion sensor sinks to, well, my closing bit in this special is about porn, but he tackles porn through the view of innocence, saying, what would the sweetest person you know who sees porn think about porn? He also talks about drugs. When I touch on the subject of doing cocaine one time, I'm like, here's what this looks like when I try it on. I also feel like me doing those kinds of things is way more relatable to the audience than somebody who's the bad boy comic that's like, ooh, I'm so dangerous, I'm such a piece of crap, and this is how I do it. A lot of people have tried cocaine, but they're just a regular person when they do it. They're a little bit weirder than they normally are, and then 2 days later they get back from that vacation, and they got to take their kids to a soccer game. So I feel like my view of it is relatable to the average person. The Interrobang liked the special. They say Tall, Dark, and Pleasant is a slam dunk, people-pleasing killer debut hour. Pete's ability to find and translate what's hilarious and relatable about being that middle seat guy have taken him to this moment. It's exciting to see it pay off for him. Pete said, I feel so proud of it. It feels unreal. When I walked out there, it was like a dream. I mean, the crowd was so much fun. I was real lucky to have a crowd that has a lot of fans in it, which made it easier for me. And for some reason, Arizona is a haven for Wisconsin people. It almost felt like a Packers away game filling that special. And that is your comedy news for today. All right. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/daily comedy news and be cool like Nancy. Just saying. Follow the show on Spotify, Apple, or Google. We covered that already. So let me shut up and I'll see you tomorrow.